Eli crouched at the edge of the forest, his small hands brushing aside the luminescent ferns that glowed faintly under the alien sun. At 7 years old, most boys his age would have stayed near the safety of the settlement, but Eli had never been most boys. His eyes, wide and curious, scanned the dense trees as a faint, rhythmic sound reached his ears, a soft, uneven pulse, almost like a heartbeat, but not quite. Something was calling him. He stepped cautiously over twisted roots, the hum growing louder. The forest was alive with noises he had never heard before, leaves that whispered with an electric tingle, insects that glimmered and darted like shards of light. Yet, despite the alien beauty, Eli felt no fear, only curiosity. His small, nimble fingers clutched the strap of his satchel, where he kept his collection of gadgets and tools, simple inventions meant to help him explore, crafted from spare parts his father had given him. The sound led him to a small clearing, where a figure lay slumped against a rock. At first glance, Eli thought it was a tree stump, but as he stepped closer, he saw the faint glow of blue and green along its surface. The creature's wings, delicate and translucent, trembled weakly, and a soft pulse of light ran along its veins. It was breathing, but shallowly. Eli knelt beside it, his heart racing. "Hey, are you hurt?" His voice was gentle, almost a whisper. The alien stirred, opening large, luminous eyes that reflected both fear and pain. Eli froze for a moment, realizing the creature was intelligent, far beyond any animal he had encountered. The alien's voice was not spoken, but felt, as though it pressed directly against Eli's mind. "Help, they will take it." The words were jagged, incomplete, yet the meaning was clear. Eli swallowed hard, understanding the urgency. "They who will take you?" he asked aloud, his words clumsy. The alien's wings fluttered weakly, and it emitted a low, pulsing hum. Eli reached into his satchel, pulling out a small medkit he had scavenged from the settlement's infirmary. "I think I can fix this," he said, trying to sound confident even though his hands trembled. The alien allowed him to tend to its injuries, though it shivered each time Eli touched a jagged tear along its wing. As he worked, Eli noticed the faint etchings on the creature's arm, symbols that glowed softly when he pressed them. "What are these?" he asked, fascinated. The alien's eyes flickered, as if acknowledging the question, but it did not answer directly. Instead, it nudged a small, crystalline object toward him, pulsing with the same soft light. Eli picked it up carefully. The crystal was warm, almost alive, and he felt a strange surge of energy pass through his fingers. "This belongs to you?" he asked. The alien nodded, its eyes pleading. "I'll keep it safe," Eli promised, determination sharpening his young features. A sudden rustling from the edge of the clearing made him spin around. Shadows moved between the trees, sleek, black shapes that glinted under the alien sun. Eli's stomach knotted as he realized the danger. These were no ordinary predators. They moved with purpose, scanning the clearing with cold precision. The alien's voice pressed into his mind again. "They want it, the crystal, they will destroy." Eli's mind raced. He had never faced real danger before, and yet, something deep inside told him he could not run. He had to protect this creature, this fragile being that had no chance alone against what approached. Quickly, Eli examined the surroundings. A narrow path led to a rocky incline on the far side of the clearing. "This way," he whispered, tugging gently on the alien's arm. The creature hesitated, then allowed him to guide it, its luminescent wings folding as they moved. Every step was tense. Every snap of a twig made Eli flinch, but he pressed forward, careful not to make noise. As they reached the incline, Eli helped the alien behind a cluster of jagged rocks. He peered over the edge. The mercenaries, or whatever they were, had entered the clearing, scanning, communicating in harsh clicks that made his teeth ache. Eli's mind spun. He was just a boy, yet here he was, hiding a wounded alien and a crystal that radiated power, and the very beings who had caused this pain were searching for them. I won't let them take you," Eli murmured, almost to himself. The alien's eyes met his, and for the first time, he saw what seemed like understanding. Gratitude mixed with fear, but beneath it all, a spark of hope. Eli's hands rested on the satchel straps, thinking rapidly. If he could just keep them hidden for a few more hours, maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to escape. And yet, even in the face of this danger, he could not ignore the crystal's warmth, the strange hum it gave off, as though it resonated with him. There was something more to it, something that might change everything. As the mercenaries began to spread out, Eli pressed himself closer to the alien, whispering, "We'll figure this out. I'll keep you safe. I promise." The alien leaned slightly against him, a fragile weight, as if placing its trust in a 7-year-old human. Eli's heart pounded in his chest, but a new resolve settled in his small frame. This was no longer just curiosity or adventure. This was about protecting a life, standing against an unknown threat, and discovering something that even he could not yet understand, the power that now thrummed faintly in his hands. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that this moment, fragile and dangerous, was only the beginning. The rustling of the trees grew louder. Eli glanced up, eyes narrowing. The shadows were moving closer. He gritted his teeth and tightened his grip on the crystal. This is it, he thought. I can do this. The forest held its breath, and Eli, small but unyielding, prepared to face what was coming. Eli and the alien moved cautiously through the undergrowth, every step calculated to avoid the sharp eyes of the mercenaries. Kale, the alien, leaned heavily on Eli's small shoulder, wings folded tightly against his glowing torso. Though he was injured, there was a quiet strength in Kale's presence, a calm that Eli found both comforting and strange. The boy led him to a hidden grove, far from prying sensors or wandering patrols. The grove was sheltered by enormous, bioluminescent trees, their roots forming natural alcoves that offered protection. Eli set Kale down gently and scanned the area for anything that could help him tend to the alien's wounds. The forest floor was damp and small, glowing fungi grew in patches, their spores drifting lazily through the air. Eli had learned to be observant here, to notice even the faintest changes in color or movement, skills that he realized humans seemed to have naturally. "Rest here," Eli said softly. "I'll see what I can do." His hands worked quickly, removing shards of broken branches embedded in Kale's wings and wrapping torn membranes with strips of fabric from a satchel. Kale's luminescent skin pulsed faintly with each careful movement, like a heartbeat that Eli could feel rather than hear. "You humans strange," Kale's voice pressed into Eli's mind, a mixture of curiosity and amusement. "So small, yet so determined." Eli blinked. I guess I'm different." His voice faltered. He had never considered how humans might appear to other beings. Kale's glow pulsed faintly, almost like a nod. "They learn fast. Adapt. Persist. This makes you remarkable." The alien's words lingered, and Eli felt a strange pride swell in his chest. He had always believed humans were clever, but hearing it from someone from another world made it real. Kale rested for a moment, then gestured to a small, crystalline sword he carried strapped to his side. Eli's eyes widened. The weapon shimmered with energy, unlike anything he had seen before. Its blade was elegant, etched with alien symbols that flickered faintly as if alive. "This is your weapon?" Eli asked. His small fingers twitched, almost itching to touch it, though he knew better than to grab something he didn't understand. Kale's eyes glimmered. "It is more than a weapon. It is a technique. A path." The alien lifted a hand, demonstrating a fluid movement that seemed impossibly graceful, almost like water flowing through air. He motioned for Eli to mimic the movement. Eli hesitated, but curiosity burned brighter than fear. He raised his hands, trying to follow the gestures. At first, his movements were clumsy, awkward, nothing like Kale's seamless flow. The alien's pulse of light seemed to fluctuate in rhythm with Eli's errors. Again, Kale urged, gently but firmly. "Feel it. Do not think. Let it flow." Eli repeated the motion, slower, more deliberate. Something inside him clicked, the way the muscles remembered the movement, the way his mind connected with the rhythm of the blade's energy. Kale's glow brightened slightly. Yes, yes, you understand. Hours passed. Eli trained relentlessly, discovering that his human instincts, quick reflexes, improvisation, and fearless curiosity allowed him to grasp techniques far beyond what Kale had expected of any apprentice. Each motion he learned made him feel stronger, more capable. The sword was no longer just a weapon. It was an extension of him, a conduit for the strange energy that pulsed faintly in his veins whenever he held it. Kale watched with a mixture of astonishment and admiration. Human children, they are unpredictable, yet defective. Their training was interrupted by small dangers. The forest itself tested Eli. Thorned vines whipped at his arms, luminescent insects swarmed, and sudden shifts in the terrain forced him to adapt on the fly. Each challenge honed his skills further, blending human ingenuity with alien precision. He learned to anticipate, to improvise, to move faster than he thought possible. Kale's teachings were the foundation, but Eli's human nature was the key. As dusk fell, the grove shimmered under the soft glow of bioluminescent flora. Eli rested beside Kale, breathing heavily, but with a growing sense of confidence. The alien handed him the small crystal again, its energy warm against his palm. This is important, Kale's voice resonated in Eli's mind. It chooses its guardian. It responds to you. Your spirit, your courage, your mind. It resonates. You are different. You may alter fate. Eli's eyes widened. Alter fate, he whispered. He was only 7, yet he felt the weight of the words. Somehow, he knew this was more than training, more than survival. This was a path that could change everything, not just for him, but for Kale, for the crystal, perhaps for the entire galaxy. A sudden noise from the forest edge snapped Eli to attention, shadows moving quickly through the trees. The mercenaries were near, their sensors likely picking up the faint glow of the crystal. Eli's pulse quickened. He looked at Kale, who nodded slightly, wings quivering but eyes steady. It's time to move, Kale pressed into Eli's mind. You are ready, more than ready. Eli clutched the crystal, feeling the warmth surge through him. His training, his instincts, his human courage, it all came together in a single moment of clarity. He could protect Kale. He could face whatever came next. And perhaps, in ways even Kale could not yet predict, he could change the course of what was to come. With a deep breath, Eli led Kale from the grove, moving silently through the alien terrain, aware of every shadow, every sound. The forest no longer seemed frightening. It seemed alive, responsive, almost like it recognized the boy who held a glowing crystal and wielded a sword like no one else. And as the first patrols of the mercenaries came into view, Eli tightened his grip on the sword and whispered, "Let's show them what we can do." The forest held its breath, waiting. Eli, small but unyielding, stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face his first true test. Eli crouched behind a jagged rock, the glowing crystal warm in his palm, sword strapped to his small back. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the mercenaries advanced, their armor glinting in the dim light. Kale's wings were folded tightly against his shoulders, eyes narrowing as he whispered into Eli's mind. Now, show them why humans are unpredictable. Eli swallowed hard. He was only 7, yet the weight of the moment pressed on him like gravity. His hands shook slightly, but he steadied himself, remembering Kale's lessons, the fluid motions, the connection between body and blade, the rhythm of the energy that pulsed through the crystal. This was no longer practice, this was survival. A patrolling mercenary moved first, scanning the undergrowth with a mechanical gaze. Eli focused, letting instinct guide him. He sprinted from cover, small but swift, and swung the sword in a practiced arc. The energy blade hummed as it cut through the air, striking the mercenary's armored limb. The figure staggered, more surprised than hurt, but that moment of hesitation was enough. Eli darted behind another boulder, his pulse racing. Kale's guidance pressed into his mind. Do not fight blindly.
Predict. Flow. Adapt.
Eli's eyes flicked to the next patroller. He noticed the rhythm of their steps, the slight delay in their scanning pattern. Timing his movement perfectly, he leaped from cover, using a combination of spins and feints learned in hours of training. The mercenary's attack missed, and Eli countered with a precise strike that knocked the enemy back. Despite his small size, Eli's unpredictability worked in his favor. The mercenaries had anticipated strength, brute force, but Eli's creativity, his lightning reflexes, and his fearless approach confounded them. He ducked under a sweeping leg, rolled across damp moss, and delivered a calculated thrust that sent another staggering into the trees. Kale watched with a mixture of pride and astonishment. Incredible, your species, such potential. Eli's mind raced, not with fear, but strategy. Each movement was deliberate. Each strike was designed to create openings, to disorient. He was small, yes, but human ingenuity allowed him to turn his size into an advantage, slipping between guards, using the environment to his favor. The glowing crystal pulsed in response, resonating with his courage, lending strength to every strike. The mercenaries adapted quickly, coordinating their movements, but Eli's human unpredictability remained a step ahead. He leapt from a fallen branch, using the momentum to spin and deliver a strike that sent two enemies sprawling. Kale, though injured, contributed with subtle mental nudges, guiding Eli's timing, enhancing his awareness, but the boy was the one in control, executing each motion with precision that seemed impossible for his age. A sudden blast from a mercenary's energy cannon forced Eli to dive behind a rock. Sparks hissed where the energy struck, illuminating his determined face. He realized that raw strength alone would not win this battle. He needed to combine agility, skill, and instinct. Using a nearby incline, Eli climbed swiftly, using the terrain to gain a height advantage. From above, he could see the positions of the remaining mercenaries. Eli leapt again, sword extended, energy slicing through the air. The mercenaries tried to corner him, but he twisted midair, landing behind them. One lunged, but Eli sidestepped, using the attacker's momentum to send him crashing into the others. The forest echoed with the sound of armor clanging and bodies hitting the ground, yet Eli moved with uncanny grace. Kale's eyes glimmered as he whispered, "They underestimate you because you are human. That is your greatest weapon." Eli's confidence surged. Every move, every calculated risk, demonstrated what humans could do when fear was replaced by determination and ingenuity. Amid the chaos, Eli noticed the crystal resonating more strongly than ever. Its energy formed a faint, protective aura around him and Kale, responding to his courage, his focus. A mercenary attempted a final strike, but as it neared, a surge from the crystal's energy knocked the attacker off balance. Eli seized the opportunity, disarming the last enemy with a swift motion that combined human reflex and alien technique. Silence fell over the forest. Eli stood panting, sword in hand, chest heaving with exertion. The mercenaries lay incapacitated, not all seriously injured, but enough to prevent pursuit. Kale hovered slightly above the ground, wings trembling, but his eyes shone with pride. "You have exceeded all expectations," Kale said. "You are remarkable." Eli lowered the sword slowly, the weight of the crystal in his palm grounding him. Despite his exhaustion, a small smile tugged at his lips. He had done it. He had faced a force far stronger than himself and survived. He had protected Kale. More than that, he had discovered something profound. Humans were not weak. They were capable of brilliance when confronted with the impossible. The forest seemed quieter now, the tension easing. Eli glanced at Kale, who nodded toward the path ahead. "The danger is not gone," the alien's voice pressed into his mind. "Larger threats await. But you are ready." Eli clenched the crystal, feeling its warmth surge through him once again. He understood now. This was only the beginning. The training, the courage, the unpredictable human spirit, everything had led to this moment. And whatever lay ahead, he would face it, not just as a boy, but as a protector, a warrior shaped by both human ingenuity and alien guidance. The shadows of the forest stretched long as the sun dipped below the horizon. Eli turned to Kale, determination shining in his eyes. "Let's move," he said. We have a long journey ahead. Kale hovered close, wings quivering slightly. Yes, the real test begins now. Eli adjusted the strap of his satchel, sword at his side, crystal glowing faintly in his hand. He stepped forward, small but unyielding, leaving behind the remnants of the first battle. The forest seemed to part before him, as though recognizing a boy who had defied expectation, who had wielded courage, intellect, and skill to shape his own fate. And as they disappeared into the deeper shadows of the alien woods, a single thought burned in Eli's mind. This is only the beginning. Eli moved through the alien forest with purpose, crystal glowing faintly in his small hands, sword strapped securely across his back. Kale hovered close, wings quivering, eyes scanning the darkening terrain for any sign of pursuit. The forest seemed alive, its bioluminescent flora flickering in response to the boy's presence, as though sensing the unusual courage that radiated from him. The path narrows ahead, Kale pressed into Eli's mind. A temple lies there, ancient and hidden. The crystal's full power can only awaken there. Eli nodded, determination tightening his jaw. He had learned much in the past hours. Kale's alien sword techniques, the unpredictable strength of his own human instincts, the way courage and ingenuity could bend the odds in his favor. Yet, he sensed that this final destination would reveal something even greater, something that would change both his life and Kale's forever. The temple appeared as they approached a steep cliffside, half buried under twisted roots and thick vines. Its surface glimmered faintly, etched with alien symbols similar to those on the crystal. Eli's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary structure. It was a place of power. Kale landed beside him. The crystal responds to its guardian. Step inside. Trust yourself. Eli took a deep breath and entered the shadowed temple. Inside, the walls pulsed faintly with energy, and a soft hum filled the air, harmonizing with the crystal's glow. It was almost alive, resonating with the courage and intent of those who entered. Eli felt a strange warmth surge through him, a connection that went deeper than instinct. Suddenly, the mercenaries appeared at the entrance, recovered and relentless, weapons primed. Eli's stomach tightened, but he did not hesitate. The forest had prepared him. Kale's teachings had refined him. He was ready. The first mercenary charged, but Eli moved with uncanny speed, the sword slicing a luminous path through the air. The energy from the crystal flared, forming a protective aura around him and Kale. Each movement combined human ingenuity and alien precision, a blend that the attackers could not anticipate. They lunged and struck, but Eli dodged, countered, and improvised with fluidity that even Kale had not expected. Kale guided him subtly, offering mental cues, but Eli was in control. His young mind calculated patterns, exploited weaknesses, and transformed the environment into an advantage. Fallen pillars became shields, crystalline alcoves became vantage points. With every swing, every precise movement, Eli realized what Kale had been saying. Humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability could become power. A blast struck near him, sending shards of stone into the air. Eli rolled, gripping the sword tighter. The crystal pulsed violently, and he felt its energy surge, linking with his determination. He realized he could channel its power, not recklessly, but with focus. With a sharp inhale, he extended his free hand and directed the energy toward the advancing mercenaries. A wave of luminous force pushed them back, knocking them from their footing. Kale's glow brightened. You are no longer just a learner. You are a protector, a force beyond expectation. Eli's heart pounded, yet a calm determination settled over him. The battle continued, but now he was attuned to the rhythm of both the crystal and the forest. He anticipated each strike, countered with precision, and moved with a grace that belied his age. The mercenaries were formidable, but they were bound by rules and assumptions. Eli was not. He was human. Finally, the last mercenary fell back, overwhelmed by the combined force of skill, ingenuity, and the crystal's power. Silence descended over the temple, broken only by the faint hum of energy still radiating from the glowing artifact. Eli lowered his sword slowly, breathing heavily, yet feeling a new strength within him. Kale hovered before him, wings shimmering softly. The crystal has chosen you. Its power responds to your courage, your heart, your mind. This path you walk, it is not the end. It is only the beginning. Eli looked at the crystal, then back at Kale. A strange mix of awe and understanding filled him. He realized that his journey was far from over. The galaxy beyond this forest and temple was vast, full of dangers and opportunities alike. Yet he no longer felt small. He was a protector, a force capable of altering outcomes, and his human qualities, curiosity, ingenuity, courage, were the key to wielding power that even Kale could only partially comprehend. The forest outside beckoned. Stars began to pierce the twilight sky, distant and bright, suggesting possibilities far beyond his imagination. Eli adjusted the strap of his satchel and gripped the sword with renewed resolve. Kale hovered beside him, a silent ally and mentor. Where to next? Eli asked softly, the weight of responsibility heavy yet exhilarating. Kale's eyes gleamed. Wherever the galaxy demands. Wherever danger threatens the innocent. You are ready, human. Your destiny unfolds. Eli smiled faintly, the first trace of pride reflecting in his wide, determined eyes. He felt the pulse of the crystal, steady and strong, as if affirming the promise of the words. He was no longer just a boy. He was a protector, a force unlike any other, a human whose courage and ingenuity could alter fate itself. Together, they stepped out of the temple, leaving behind the immediate threat of the mercenaries. The forest seemed to bow in acknowledgement, shadows stretching, light flickering, as if the alien world itself recognized the significance of what had occurred. Eli glanced at Kale and then up at the distant stars. A vast universe awaited, full of challenges, mysteries, and allies yet to be discovered. And in that moment, the boy felt an unshakable certainty. No matter what lay ahead, he would face it, not just as a child, but as a human capable of shaping destinies, protecting those in need, and uncovering the hidden potential within himself. The adventure was far from over. But Eli, small yet unyielding, was ready.